I've always wondered if I should start the YouTube video like car YouTube videos where the American dudes are just shouting at the camera. What's going on, YouTube? I just woke up. We're gonna go out and we're gonna pick up a Lamborghini today. Wow, I'm so excited. Are you excited, dog? Smash the like and subscribe button. And oh, you just fell. You all right? Oh. Yeah, not for me. Yeah, maybe not. But similar to those YouTubers who come crashing at the camera saying they've got 4 Lamborghinis and they're going to be doing this and that and they're picking up a new hypercar every week. Here's an XG Falcon. So continuing the disassembly of the XG, getting the parts out of it. I'm gonna get the aircon system out first up and I'm gonna see if that fits up on the XA. Hopefully it does, but then gonna be continuing on. I wanna be taking these rear bumperettes off and having a look at the pattern of the metal underneath, which I'm pretty sure is the same as the XA. On the passenger side, this one's pretty good, no concern. But on the driver's side, as you can see, not too fantastic. This whole section here needs to be replaced. So I'm 98% certain the XG has this exact same piece. And if not, it doesn't really matter because it's covered by a bumper. So I just need to replace that section. If it roughly matches, good to go. So I'll be doing that, see if that works. And also hopefully starting with the removal of the tray and the wheel arches and all that sort of stuff. So I can kick it out the door. So without further ado, let's cut to the time lapse with the music overlay. Okay, so a little update on where we're at. I was really hoping this video would be one of those, little known secret XG air conditioning system fits in all X series Falcons. Cheap way to get aircon. No, of course it's not. Basically from the floor pan back, same car, exact same panels and parts, all that. The firewall's different though, obviously. So the firewall comes out a little bit further, which allows the heater box to sit further back into the dash a little bit more. So my options are, don't use this box and go out and spend $4,500 on getting an aftermarket air conditioning system for this, or find a second-hand one, to which I then have to use the XA controls and the cables, and I didn't want to use that system. That's the whole reason for doing this. I want to use like the vacuum system, but at the same time I don't want to go and buy a new one. I sort of want to retrofit something in there. So for the sake of saving the money, all I actually need to do is graft a small section of the firewall onto this firewall, and that will allow the heater box to sit in its natural position. So what I've done is I've cut a much larger piece out. So I've cut out twice of what I need, just so it's all positioned correctly and I can line line everything up because some parts of that firewall line up exactly with this firewall. So I've cut that section out. I've marked sort of roughly where I need to cut. I just need to cut a little bit out of here, and with the new firewall that will sit forward a bit. It doesn't interfere with anything once the engine and everything is already in, so that's a bonus. And once that's done, we can use the XG air conditioning system, the heater box, we can use all that. You can go in there, I can use the controls can go on the dash. We can all be sweet. So for the sake of 2 hours of grafting that section on, it's saving me thousands of dollars and getting an aircon system, and it's saving me using a factory air conditioning system and factory controls, which I just don't want to do. And it's not the look that I'm going for in the interior. So that's where we're up to. Let's get back into it. Right, so as you can see here, this section sits out a lot further. Just disregard that bit. Has bent out a little bit since cutting it out. So it actually sits about there, which is kind of in line with that anyways. I've deliberately cut further in, so I'm able to bend these sections out to meet up with that, so I don't have to add bits of steel. That will essentially run flush with this section here, so this can, what I might actually do is just weld a plate straight from the edge of here to the edge of that, and that'll run flush, and that'll probably look a hell of a lot better too, which will then allow me to get rid of this whole section here. As you can see here, these two ribs are the exact same on the XA. You can even see this dimple here matches perfectly with that dimple there. So those two ribs, you can see, are on the inside as well. They're on the XA. So luckily, they're the same, and these allow me to perfectly line this panel up. So that's worked out pretty well by lining up these two ribs and that little dimple there. This whole section is completely lined up and is in the right spot, ready to go. Quick mid-episode update. This is basically where I'm thinking of putting these the control panels for the XG aircon on the dash. So nothing goes here but the 12 volt accessory, and not sure what that switch is. This is a Landau dash, so that could be Landau specific. I think that's the rear demister switch. There's no symbol on it, but it does have an indicator LED, and I feel like that's something very demistery. So I can get rid of that. I don't have a rear demister in the ute, and with those gone, that sits there perfectly, I think. Or I might chop them up and put them going down this way, because the digital dash screen doesn't take up that whole section, so I could put them going down like that, and that looks, I reckon that actually looks pretty cool. We'll get to that point when we get to it. But I thought this would go a lot quicker than what it is. It's taking me hours to do this. It's very fiddly to get the measurements just right. Welding this section in is basically setting how far this sits out from this ledge here. And I took those measurements, and this needs to be just right. If this isn't right, then the whole unit won't sit level and probably won't look too great from the engine bay side of things as well. But I've welded that bit in place, which has now set this up. And then I've used two little magnets right there just to space space that out perfectly. Those two magnets pretty much bring that into the exact position that it needs to be, which is almost identical with that. I think that difference will just be the little bit of sheet that I run across here. That's all where it's meant to go. All that section joining to the firewall is all welded in, welded up along the top there, all the way up to there, and just down the bottom bit there. This bottom part, however, on the XA, this firewall comes out and then goes up. Because it goes up early, you can now see there is quite a large gap there. And to fix that, I've just gotten that same section from the XG, and lo and behold, those curves match up perfectly to the tunnel. So that actually sits in there quite well. Even this section here goes perfectly into there. So that'll come out and we'll just connect with that. But first, I've got to set this top section here, make sure that's spaced out, and then this can go on, and hopefully we're a lot closer. Okay, so that took way longer than what I thought it would. Holy shit. But we're finally there. Well, not finally, but we're almost there. All the hard stuff's done. Just finished grinding up all the welds and making it look mildly less crap. So, let's climb over and check out what we have. So this piece of steel I've got running all the way across here, connecting this to the upper plenum. I've just given it a hit with the big 4-inch grinder. I'll get a more precise sander tool to blend all that in and make that look all nice and smooth and pretty. And then down here, I've grafted in that lower section of the firewall, so now the bottom of this looks factory, doesn't it? It fits like factory. Don't mind a couple of holes here and there. I'll fix them up later. Yeah, so now this just keeps extending out as opposed to the XA, which I've still got in there. I've still got the XA firewall in there. I'll cut that out from the inside. Actually, here's a better demonstration of it. So you can see where the new firewall is, and you can see just how far the XA firewall comes in and where the XG firewall needed to go. So I can cut that section out, and that will be pretty much done. Now, you may have noticed that this section over here isn't connected, because this doesn't really matter where it goes or how it welds on. So I just wanted that bit locked into place because that's where its location is important. However, here, as you can see, it's a bit of a shit spot. Obviously, I didn't cut it precisely because I was lining it all up, and I've actually I haven't welded it along here. I haven't welded the firewall past here, because basically what I'm going to do is just get a piece of metal that's going to run up here and just going to extend out at an angle and run along this contour here and weld along that, because it's just going to be a nightmare to try and fit all that in. And if I wanted to do this professionally, I would have done this back when I had this off, and I would have taken that whole section of the firewall out and undone the spot welds from in there and taken it off and put the new firewall in. But we're way beyond that now. We're here now, so I'm just sort of going with the flow, really. So that's where your aircon comes out, and basically all I've really got to do is just join it up. I can cut the original XA piece here, and I can bend that out to meet up to here, and that can work. So look, I'm happy with it how it is now. So I reckon let's see if the heater box bolts up. Now I do have a little bit of interference on this bit here. This lower cowl actually comes down a bit lower than the XG. It's got the cutout here for it, for the XG, but it's only by a couple of mil. So that can actually move in a little bit. And just to remedy that, I'm just gonna massage the lower cowl just up a little bit, because it doesn't need to be there. There's nothing there in the lower cowl, so I can massage it out, push that box past there. Other than that, it's good to go. I'm gonna cut out this section here and around here, so the box isn't actually sitting flush against this back wall just yet. It needs these bits tidied up and cut out, and there's this little vent here that vents into the engine bay. I'm gonna cut a hole for that just up there. So not 100% done, but pretty bloody close. All the hard bits done. It's now just tidying it up. So I'm super happy with that, and I think I'm gonna leave it there. That's it for this episode. It went in a completely different direction than what I expected it to do. I was planning this episode to be completely stripping the XG out, basically taking that back to a bare shell, maybe cutting out the tray. I just got a little bit excited, a little bit carried away, really. Fitted up the aircon, and when it didn't fit, I thought, how can I make it fit? So, I mean, it's cool that we've done this now. We've got a section of the firewall changed out to fit a newer model heater box and condenser. So I think that's pretty unique and that's pretty cool. That's what this whole build is about. It's about being unique and different, as far away from factory as possible. That's just added to it a little bit more. People might look at that and go, hang on a second, that's not a factory firewall. And that's what I'm all about. So, hope you enjoyed watching me suffer. I am burnt as all hell from the weld. I don't know why I didn't wear a long sleeve shirt, but I'm red like a lobster on my arms from all that welding. Please give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope you learned something. If you got an X series Falcon you're building, I hope it's encouraged you to go out and cut up an old XG and use it for parts and retrofit bits onto it. But I gotta get out of here, gotta pack this place up, put everything away. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, evening, night, wherever you are in the world watching this, whatever time it is. I hope just have a good one.